Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Dark Horse Comics, we're back after some weeks off due to the winter weather and storms here. Actually caused some outages, knocking out our power and our servers and all of those things. So we're happy to be back. We're still kind of catching up after those outages. So thanks for your patience. But we're here for the new comic book day rundown because it is Wednesday, which means new comics are at comic shops today. I have a few more notes about delays caused by the winter weather, which I'll get to in a little bit. But first, I want to thank my colleague Daniel for joining us today. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. I mean, tired after all of this
Yeah.
catching up and all that. But yeah, how are you? Were you able to kind of keep up with things while we had those outages, or?
Ish. I never lost power at my house, which was nice. But yeah, we had no work emails basically for a week, which is good and bad. It's good in that you get a little break from work, and bad in that all of a sudden you have 800 emails to return to. So, but I'm mostly pretty caught up at this point. So things are looking good right now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of emailing that occurs in this business. A lot of communication, especially since we're all working from home due to the pandemic. So, yeah, a lot of things to catch up on. But we're happy to be back, and thank you for tuning in. And we're going to go through new releases this week as well as recent announcements. Our announcements were still able to mostly go out into the world, but we're still kind of catching up with our website. So keep checking back, darkhorse.com. We'll continue to post our announcements on there, in addition to the news outlets that have been carrying them for us. So we'll have more news and announcements at darkhorse.com very soon. As always, we do have a giveaway today. That giveaway, for those who are in the chat, will be of the 3 single issues that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. All 3 new releases in comic shops today. The giveaway keyword, which you can type into the chat, you only need to enter it once, is Klaus, Klaus, of course, Klaus Hargreaves, because one of our new releases today is Umbrella Academy. We'll get to that in just a moment. So like I said, if you're in the live chat, giveaway is open now. You can enter the keyword and win a prize pack of the single issues. I like to have my guests, help remind folks where you can get comics. So Dan, would you like to tell folks a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So just a reminder of where to get stuff. All the books we're discussing today will be available from comic book shops. We encourage you to shop locally if you can. Many comic shops and bookstores are offering online ordering, pickup or delivery right now. Check comicshoplocator.com and indiebound.org to help find shops near you.
And it's probably a good idea to check and make sure that everybody's able to be open, or find out what their hours are right now for sure. Because I know not only is the Pacific Northwest dealing with a lot of inclement weather, but of course, Texas and other places too. So support your local shops if you can. And the next thing related that I do have to go over is, like I said, there have been some delays. And I know it's kind of an ongoing thing throughout the whole pandemic and quarantine. Shipping has been affected quite a bit by the pandemic. It's backed up or even closed in some places, some ports, and our comics and books are shipped to 2 different distributors. And so most recently what has happened is there is a significant delay to the shipments of our comics to Diamond, the comics distributor, which means books that were going to be released at comic shops this week have been delayed to March 3rd. The single issues we're going to talk about today are still available today, but the comics that have been delayed to March 3rd include Disney, Beauty and the Beast, the story of the movie and comics, Dragon Age, the first 5 graphic novels, Post York, and Stephen McCraney's Space Boy Volume 9. Those graphic novels were supposed to come out in the comics market today, but now they will come out March 3rd at your comic shop. So if you had something on pre-order, it'll probably be delayed, or just head to your comic shop on March 3rd and see what they got. But they will also be available, as always, in bookstores as well. So you can check. You may have already gotten one if you ordered from a place like Barnes & Noble or another bookstore. We also had some serious shipping delays on some other books. We, of course, are not the only publisher affected, so you may be seeing this with other books too. But I also wanted to note that we'll have several books available from book retailers this week, but they'll be coming out later in March due to all the inclement weather shipping problems. So watch darkhorse.com for the most accurate and updated release dates. And we'll also share these on our social media channels throughout this month and next to try and help you keep track of what's coming out when. But the complete Emily the Strange, All Things Strange, Avatar, The Last Airbender, The Rift Omnibus, which is the trade paperback collection of The Rift, Disney Tangled, The Story of the Movie and Comics, The Art of the Mass Effect Trilogy Expanded Edition, and The World of Black Hammer Library Edition Volume 2. Those are all available at book retailers this week, local bookstores, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all those. But your local comic shops will receive them throughout March. So quick update on delays. Unfortunately, it's happening due to all the inclement weather and also pandemic shipping slowdowns. So keep checking back with comic shops and support them if you can, but also remember that you can get things from bookstores. And that's about it for the shipping delays. We have, as I said, had a lot of news and announcements over the past couple of weeks, and we will continue sharing that news on our website and social media as ever. darkhorse.com/blog is the best place to check our news. We do have a couple quick Dark Horse Direct updates first. We just announced yesterday something pretty cool for fans of The Dragon Prince, which is a show that I enjoy. Have you watched that, Dan?
I haven't yet, but I've heard good things.
It's pretty cute.
Is it? Cool.
Yeah. We have an art book already out, and we're continuing to work with Wonderstorm on some more exciting things coming up. But the latest and most recent was announced yesterday through Dark Horse Direct. So it's limited, exclusive, a fine art print of a map of Zadia, the world of Dragon Prince. It's 24 by 16 inches and features holographic foil detail over the dragon egg. Each print will be hand numbered. And like I said, it's a limited run of only 500. This map art is by Francesca Bayrold, who is this amazing fantasy map artist. We've also done a Dragon Age map with her. So yeah, just phenomenal, gorgeous art, and definitely something if you're a fan of the Dragon Prince that you'll want to jump on. Dark Horse Direct, their website is direct.darkhorse.com. You can find this and all other Dark Horse Direct products there. This past weekend, we also celebrated BlizzCon or BlizzCon Line with our partners at Blizzard with another Dark Horse Direct print. If you missed out on that giveaway, don't worry, it's still available, but everything on Dark Horse Direct is limited, so don't delay. We have an Overwatch Tracer London Calling fine art print and a comic variant with art by Babs Tar. I love Babs' art. She is also the interior artist for this comic series, Tracer London Calling. And this art print shows Tracer and Widowmaker. So, you know, if you're a fan of either of those, this is a nice wall adornment for you. And the comics are really good too. So we're up to, actually issue 5 just came out today on digital. It will be available in print later on, but this is also available at direct.darkhorse.com. And one more quick thing for Dark Horse Direct, for fans of Avatar and Korra, those bookends are still available for pre-order. There's Avatar Aang and Avatar Korra ones. And if you check out their listings on Dark Horse Direct's website, you'll see that the preview images have been updated. So do not worry, the Earth symbol is correct, and it will be correct on the final product. So again, check all of those out at direct.darkhorse.com. And that's the end of my spiel for Dark Horse Direct. So I'm gonna let Daniel tell you about something else that's cool.
Yeah, so we recently announced a new art book or illustrated art book or prose illustrated art book. Good morning. Called Untold Horror, which covers a bunch of different horror movies that never got made. I've always personally been interested in all these different stories of some really interesting movies that never made it to post-production. And Dark Horse even has a history of publishing books like this. We did a graphic novel called The Star Wars, which was a comic adaptation of the original screenplay by George Lucas. And then we did one about a year or two ago called William Gibson's Alien 3, which was his version of the original story for Alien 3, quite different than the final one. And then this book is a bunch of stories about the pre-production stages of a lot of really interesting horror movies. And these are movies by some really big directors, and also features interviews with them that have been conducted in the past. So there's an interview and some concept art from George Romero, John Landis, Joe Dante, Larry Cohen, Richard Stanley, who just did that crazy Color Out of Space movie with Nicolas Cage not too long ago. Brian Yuzna has some stuff in there, and it covers a lot of really interesting movies and franchises like Frankenstein and Dracula. There's really a great poster and cool section on there on a National Lampoon movie called National Lampoon's Jaws 3 People Zero. It's really fun. So you'll see like a lot of art and scripts in there and production material, and just kind of get a good scope of all these really interesting and fun horror movies that never made it to the theater. So
I'm excited for this book, actually. I love horror movies, as Dan probably knows.
yeah.
That's one kind of tough thing I think about the pandemic, actually, is, we haven't been able to go see movies. And we have a really cool local independent theater that usually showcases a lot of great classic horror movies and Grindhouse and all kinds of things that I usually go to.
Yeah, I think the last movie I saw in the theater before the pandemic was Invisible Man. So that was one of the last.
Mine was not a horror movie, actually. We had like a special screening of a Satoshi Kon movie that was remastered. They had both a dub and a sub version. So I saw, A Perfect Blue and Tokyo Babylon. That's what it was.
Yeah. I still need to see Perfect Blue. Just the stills I've seen from that movie look beautiful.
It was gorgeous. It was a very small special screening, and it was kind of the beginning of the pandemic, so everybody was still spaced out, social distancing, but it was pretty fun, actually, that way. It was nice to be able to like stretch out.
Cool.
Oh,
well, anyways, so I'm really excited about this book. It'll be out in comic shops July 28th and in bookstores August 10th. So you can pre-order it now from your comic shops and your bookstores, but it's going to be a cool one, particularly if you like horror.
I'm excited for when we can show, any little peeks inside this book for folks. We'll definitely have more news and updates and reminders for this coming up soon. So stay tuned. Social media and our website as ever. Another thing that I am very excited about, I'm a big fan of The Witcher, and we have a new Witcher comic series just announced. The Witcher Witch's Lament is going to be the next Witcher mini series in our continuing Witcher comics. This is by CD Projekt Red's writer and narrative manner, Bartosz Sztybor. He's written a couple of other comic series for us now, and I like having someone who is so involved with the games also joining us to write the comics. He's done a really good job with the last series. So Sztybor is joined by artist Vanessa Del Rey, which is also pretty exciting. I love her art, so I think this will be a nice new take on the Witcher comics. Colors by Jordi Belair and lettered by Aditya Bidikar, so a pretty all-star team all around, honestly. This is going to begin in comes out on May 26th, 2021. There we go. So you can pre-order it now at comic shops. In this story, we find Geralt after a pretty normal hunt, but when the captured witch is burned at the stake, Geralt is haunted by images of her death, and a warning begins to take shape. Soon he finds himself drawn into the mystery surrounding this persecution of the witch. So another kind of spin, a different take on stories of Geralt set in the world of The Witcher, the video games. Again, this will be available for pre-order at your comic shop starting now. And the most recent series that we've had, also written by Bartosz Sztybor, is The Witcher Fading Memories. That collection will be available in July, so you can pre-order that as well. And that's been another really interesting it's hard to explain without spoiling anything, but it's a really good mini series. And if you're a fan of The Witcher, I highly recommend it. So those have been ongoing now. And again, that collection will be out this summer. So you can pre-order that as well. And then I gave Daniel one of our new young adult comics to tell you all about.
Yeah, so we have a new book coming out called Rangers of the Divide. This is from writer and artist Megan Juan, who did a book with Dark Horse previously called Gia and the Neon Monster. In this book, this new miniseries, it's about courage, community, and dragons. Issue 1 of it arrives May 19th, and it's available for pre-order now at your local comic book store. In this story, following the disappearance of the nation's peacekeepers, an elite commander stumbles upon a team of bright-eyed cadets in need of leadership. The group prepares to venture out on their first mission into uncharted territories. Are they ready to face what awaits them, or will danger find them first?
This one sounds really fun, and like dragons, I think it is for you.
Need to start reading these like a movie trailer.
Yes.
In a world with dragons.
Every single one will start in a world.
We could do that.
I could.
You can start the next one within a world. I won't stop you. And Megan also says about the behind the scenes on the story. Rangers of the Divide started out as me just wanting to create something for fun. From there, it blossomed into a series I wanted to share. I put my spirit and heart into this epic tale, and as my first 100% solo series, I'm anxious and excited for it to hit shelves. I hope people enjoy reading Rangers as much as I've loved working on it. So there you go.
Very excited for Megan. She is a great artist, and yeah, I think this book is going to be really fun. And if you follow, like, if you don't follow her on social media, you should. She is sharing a lot of fun, like behind the scenes kind of process art and stuff like that as we continue to open for pre-orders for this. So next up, another kind of switch 180, but how about this? In a world.
There you go.
Ubisoft. We really do have kind of a world of Ubisoft comics and art books. Actually, we were partnering with them on quite a lot of projects for all different games that they produce. We have a lot of art books out already, like for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for example. And we just announced 2 new things in our ongoing program with Ubisoft. First, writer Ben Kahn and artist Giorgio Brooks are going to take us on a fun, humorous, action-filled adventure through the world of Greek mythology with a new all-ages graphic novel set in the world of Immortals Phoenix Rising. This graphic novel is called Immortals Phoenix Rising From Great Beginnings. So this is a new original story following our main character, and she's going to go on an adventure. Let's see, her new life on Mount Olympus is going well, but when her hometown suddenly gets hit by strange earthquakes, she has to investigate. Back at home, she reunites with her human father, and to his shock, he learns that gods are real. Phoenix's mom, who had kept her godhood under the radar, cautions her that such a life has its drawbacks and things get messy when Zeus makes an appearance. As the earthquakes continue to rupture the earth, dangerous creatures emerge, past foes return, old flames reignite, and history is once again in the making. And so this, as I said, is going to be an all ages graphic novel. Ben and Giorgio are teaming up for I think the first time working together. We have some words actually from the team at Ubisoft about this. Jeffrey Yohalam, the narrative director of Immortals Phoenix Rising, says, "We are thrilled to be collaborating with Dark Horse Comics on the next chapter of Phoenix's adventure. Ben and Giorgio tell this riveting tale with humor, heart, and soul. Can't wait to share it with all of you." So this is going to be available in September 2021 and in bookstores at the beginning of October 2021. And you can pre-order it now from bookstores and comic shops, of course. It will retail for $12.99. And so that is our first Ubisoft announcement for this month. We also just announced something for Far Cry fans. We are going to be expanding the universe of Far Cry into comics with a new series called Far Cry Rite of Passage. This is written by Brian Edward Hill, illustrated by Geraldo Borges, colored by Michael Attia, and lettered by Comicraft. So another kind of all-star team. It also features covers by artist Matt Taylor, and they are gorgeous covers. So look at all of those. There's a main cover and 2 variants for this first issue. Bringing in fan favorite villains, Far Cry Rite of Passage is a gritty tale of the intricate road that leads to the ascension to power. The story kicks off as President Anton Castillo's only son, Diego, has just turned 13. But this birthday is more than a celebration. It's a rite of passage. Anton wishes to teach Diego important lessons in leadership and recounts cautionary tales that he has heard about the undoing of 3 legendary men, Boss Montenegro, a pirate, Pagan Min, a dictator, and Joseph Seed, a preacher. So we have an interesting tale of villains in this miniseries. We also have some words from Ubisoft about this one. Thanks to a wonderful collaboration with Dark Horse, we are thrilled to share with our fans the very first Far Cry comic series. And that is from Marie-Joelle Paquin, the product director of Far Cry. Through Brian and Geraldo's amazing work, we'll get a fresh look into our beloved villains' dark pasts. We can't wait for everyone to fall down this rabbit hole with us. So Far Cry Rite of Passage #1 of 3 issues will be in comic shops in May 2021, and you can pre-order it now at your comic shop. So those are the latest and greatest in our partnership with Ubisoft. See more on our website, darkhorse.com. And I got another announcement that Daniel's going to tell you about.
Yeah, so the next comic series based on the Orville has been revealed. This latest 2-issue episode is set right before the season 2 finale, and the subtitle is Digressions. The Orville executive producer David A. Goodman, who also worked on Futurama and Star Trek Enterprise, is working here with artist David Cabeza and colorist Michael Attia, and they're working to bring the world of the Orville to comics with this series. So in this story, in a world, follow Ed, Kelly, and the would-have-been crew of the Orville as they navigate separate lives in an alternate timeline. The Orville #1, part 1 of 2 goes on sale May 5th, and it's available for pre-order at your local comic shop right now.
Yeah. New Orville.
Yeah, fun stuff.
I love working with this crew. They're extremely nice. One bummer about not having conventions in person this year has been not being able to kind of see and interact with folks like we normally would. And the whole Orville cast has come to do signings at our booth at multiple shows, and they're all just fantastic, really friendly, really nice. We love the Orville. So hopefully we'll see you all again soon. But meanwhile, you have these cool comics. This is another one too, where the creative team is pretty active online. So if you'd like to see process arts and get kind of a behind the scenes look at the making of the comics, the artist, especially David Cabeza, has been sharing quite a lot and is very active on Twitter, especially. So that's a recommended follow. We have, oh man, we got a lot of announcements, but we're almost to the end before we get to the new releases, I promised. But I really did want to go over something that we announced a little while ago, because we haven't talked about it yet here on Twitch. Very excited about this partnership that we have announced with Unique Studios. That's YOUNEEK. We announced recently that we have partnered up with Roy Okupe, who is the founder of Unique Studios. He's also a Dwayne McDuffie nominee. And we are going to be publishing, so they've already self-published several graphic novels. They're building a universe of superheroes that spans centuries, centered around African stories, and they're all created by African creators. So we are going to be welcoming those previous graphic novels into the Dark Horse fold, as well as publishing new original stories after we do the first 3. The new editions of Malika, Warrior Queen, Ianu, Child of Wonder, and EXO, The Legend of Whale Williams, will all be published by Dark Horse coming up later this year. They're going to include all kinds of new content since, as I said, they were previously self-published. Now, under the Dark Horse banner, kind of like we've been doing with Comixology Originals, we'll have print editions with a lot of bonus art. and lots of other extras, which we'll be kind of telling you more about as we get a bit closer. But some words from Roy himself. What we are trying to do over the next few years is to create a compelling and immersive universe with our own twist. The unique universe is a massive interconnected universe of sci-fi, fantasy, and superhero content spread across multiple timelines with stories told from an African perspective. Is this ambitious? Yes. Is it impossible? Not at all. So we're really excited to partner with Roy. He's fantastic and really enthusiastic. I will tell you now that we'll probably have Roy and some of the other creators on, especially Malika, Ianu, and EXO, those first 3 graphic novels. We should be having them here on our Twitch stream pretty soon. So stay tuned. We'll announce more details of that when we can. But very excited to introduce this new universe of superheroes into the Dark Horse fold. So stay tuned. We'll continue to share news and updates about this. You can pre-order those 3 graphic novels right now. We have links on our website, darkhorse.com. And the first one, as I said, will be Malika Warrior Queen. So check those out. More details at darkhorse.com. Very excited to have this new superhero universe for everyone. So, and with that said, that is the end of all those announcements for the moment. There are more and there will be more coming up soon. So check back. Like I said, darkhorse.com/blog is probably the best place to land for announcements. And we'll continue to share on our social media too, plus updates on all those books with various shipping delays. We'll try to keep you apprised of when things will actually be available to you. But what you can get right now at comic shops are 3 new single issues, all of which are edited by Daniel right here. So Daniel, please tell us about the first one on our list.
All right, party time. So the first comic we're discussing here that came out today is Crimson Flower #2. This is a newer series by Matt Kent, who wrote it, and the artist is Matt Luziniski, who I don't know of anyone else in comics right now that's drawing like him. His style is so particular and awesome and detailed. And there's an amazing variant cover by Patrick Reynolds. And in this series, on the trail of her father's killer, a young woman begins to blur the line between reality and fantasy as the folk tales from her childhood become more real than the world around her. And as she makes it one step further toward avenging her father, the line between justice and vengeance becomes equally fuzzy. It's a really fun series so far. This is issue 2 of 4. And you know, if you're a big Matt Kent fan like I am, it's definitely something you're going to want to pick up.
You're a fan of Matt Kent? What?
A little bit, yeah.
What?
It's okay.
We've done a few of his comics.
Yeah, just a couple. You know, I wasn't the editor that brought in Matt originally, but I was a huge fan of the first series that we published by him called Mind Management. And if no one's read that yet that's watching, I would highly recommend picking up Mind Management. It's a really crazy, fun, and original series. So it's a good starting point.
It's got like a board game for Mind Management coming up right now.
Yeah, it looks super fun. I'm hoping I get a copy.
I backed one of his other Kickstarters with the vinyl records.
I have that here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course my turntable broke, so I have to fix that first.
Yeah. And the narrator on that is Clint McElroy too. So, yeah.
One day when I can listen to them, I'm excited to do so. I really like Mind Management as well. I also really like his series with Charlene Kent, his wife, Department H. That's one of my favorite Matt Kent series.
Yeah.
But now I'm also really liking Crimson Flower, actually.
Yeah, it's cool if you're into like any kind of like thriller involving like KGB stuff and Russian like folk tales at the same time. Like it's pretty trippy and a lot of fun. So
is this the first time that these particular creators have worked together?
Yes. Before this, we have one OGN coming from Matt Luziniski that's not out yet. It's available for pre-order, called Static. But this is the first time they've been working together. They've been a really good team. So I think they have a lot of harmony and they work well together. The only confusing part is both of them are Matts.
Yes.
So it's
that
become
is-
kind of like a Kafka thing where I call one Matt K and one Matt L in emails. So
right. Yeah, we had that recently when we had the avatar, like the next shadow. So James Cameron's avatar. We had a stream with some of those folks and we had the same name. So they ended up becoming East Coast Josh and West Coast Josh somehow.
yeah,
But yeah, the Matts. If we do have them together on a stream, we'll have to come up with some sort of nickname solution.
yeah, for sure.
I love Patrick Reynolds' cover for this too. I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, he did a great job. He's done a couple covers for me this year, and everything Patrick ever does is always outstanding. So
His art is, I love his art, and it's a perfect fit for this series too, I think. Can you talk a bit more about the other variant covers we have for this series? I know probably not all have been announced yet, but
yeah, what has been announced? I don't want to spoil what hasn't been announced yet. I want to double check then.
let's look. Let's find out.
I'm gonna go to my cheat sheet.
Crimson Flower. We have, last time was the Malachi Ward cover for issue
Oh
1.
yeah, that one's definitely out there. Malachi's one is fantastic.
We do have, it looks like we have all 4 up. So
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm tripping. So yeah, Tyler Bentz did the last issue cover. You can see all these online too if they're not popping up on the screen here. And then Marguerite Savage did the issue 3 cover, and that one's beautiful.
Yes. God, all of them are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even scored with all the variant covers lately, actually, which we'll talk about more when we address the other new issues today. Let me get back to my chat window. I'll drop the link in the chat. You can see the full Crimson Flower series there.
Perfect.
Yeah. I haven't read ahead through issue 2 yet because I like to not spoil things for myself or for anyone, just in case. But I really enjoyed issue 1. I like folklore in general, and Slavic folklore is really interesting to me. So I wasn't sure when I first read this description, how Matt Kint was going to pull this off, but it is a really cool blend of somehow Slavic folktales and like an assassin murder mystery twisty plot.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where it goes.
It's a bit trippy. There's parts where you're just not sure if they're actually happening or not. But yeah, you get a lot of interesting like cameos from some characters from Slavic folklore like Koshai and Baba Yaga, and it's different. I don't know of anything else right now like it on the shelves.
Maybe eventual Hellboy crossovers.
Maybe, yeah.
We'll have to see what Mike Mignola thinks about that. Do you have any particular interest or background in Slavic folktales yourself, Dan?
Not so much as when I was a kid, I was more into like Greek mythology. I was kind of an expert in it, and I think probably over the years I kind of forgotten what I learned. But I was a big fan of like Edith Hamilton and Robert Graves's Greek myths, and I would read some. Yeah, those were my favorites. I know those are a little bit different from like folk tales, but there's some similarities in just kind of in tone. But personal favorites of like Slavic folk tales I've read, like the Baba Yaga stuff's always really interesting, of her and her chicken house. It's just a weird, creepy character.
She is a really interesting character. I got really into Kashe after that Mignola series came out, actually. And oddly enough, coincidence? I don't know. There was a feature on Netflix around the same time all about that particular like folktale. So,
cool.
Yeah, that's where I adopted the pronunciation from. For example, I know a lot of people went back and forth on the most accurate way to pronounce that, but he's a really interesting, Koshai, but a really interesting figure. I don't know if that is still on Netflix, but if it is, it was a pretty good, documentary of that folktale. So
cool.
Anyway, Crimson Flower, issue number 2. Really cool, interesting new series from Matt Kint. Do you want to mention just briefly to Fear Case?
Yeah, so that's another series we have with Matt. That's the first issue, I believe, is out right now. So that's a series that Kent's writing, and it's illustrated and colored by Tyler Jenkins and Hillary Jenkins. It's the same team who worked on the comic series Grass Kings that was published by Boom, I believe, 2 years ago or so. Um, this series is really cool and very different for Kent in that I think it's his first horror comic. As far as I know, I've never seen him do a horror story before, and
So he
he's
says.
so he says, but it's really fun. It's really kind of different. So it's kind of like The Ring meets True Detective. You have these two Secret Service agents that are over time hunting down this case that if you open it up, it kind of can cause havoc. So there's a method to kind of getting rid of it that people need to do. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's definitely worth picking up. It's you can check it out on our website, but for your case, it's a lot of fun. Very creepy. So
I dropped the link in the chat. It's another, like, I think this is going to be an even more for me, just because I love our horror comics. Like, this is what I'm most excited about from Matt Kent that we're doing right now. Really interesting series so far. Kind of Lovecraftian
mhm.
horror dread. The art is like it, as Dan said, if you like Grass Kings, obviously this is the same team, but Tyler also kind of tries out a lot of different styles. So
Mhm.
I think it's a good fit for this.
I think
And
so
again,
too.
you have a lot of cool variant covers for this series. So.
Trying to get me to remember all my variants. Wilfredo Torres did one.
Duncan Fegredo on issue
Duncan did
1.
one. I work on too many comics.
You do, and you have a lot all coming out right now.
Esco did one.
Laurence Campbell.
Yeah, Laurence actually did more than one. So some of his art we actually are going to end up on as pinups or as back covers as well. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, Francesco's, oh man, I just, anything he does, I love. That's totally my
Yeah,
thing.
that one's outstanding. I really like Duncan's a lot too.
Yeah. Issue number 1 had, well, and it went for a second printing too. So then we had that
Good.
additional cover. They're
Mhm.
all phenomenal. If you can get your hands on them at comic shops, you should collect all the variants.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. The series is doing really well right now. So I'd encourage folks to pick it up, particularly if you like horror. So
Agreed.
crime.
Well, we should, tell you about the other new releases today, I guess. We also have a new Black Hammer from the world of Black Hammer. Skulldigger and Skeleton Boy issue number 6 is out this week, which does conclude this miniseries. This is by Jeff Lemire, Tanshi Zanjic, and I'm tongue-tied today, Tanshi Zanjic, and Steve Wands with a variant cover, again, really cool variant cover by Cliff Chang. With dead bodies piling up and a young boy's future on the line, Skulldigger and Detective Reyes confront the psychopathic Grim Jim and each other in a final showdown that determines the fate of Spiral City. So this is a conclusion. Dan, do you feel that we might see these characters again somewhere in Black Hammer?
We will, and we will see them more than once. The one time that I know that we have announced so far is there will be a one shot coming that's part of this series we announced, or it's actually the first issue already launched, called Black Hammer Visions, which is a series of one shots by guest writers and artists. So the first issue is written by Patton Oswalt, and that one focuses on the character of Golden Gale from Black Hammer. The fifth issue is going to be one that focuses on Skulldigger, and that's written by Kelly Thompson and drawn by Leonardo Romero, who just wrapped up work on Killjoys with Gerard Way and Sean Simon. And that guy's art is bananas. It looks so good. So he's been turning in inks so far for Skulldigger, and his stuff looks really, really good. So and I love Tanchi's work too. Just a fun character. It's really neat to see all these different interpretations of him.
I know people have been really excited about and into this particular Black Hammer miniseries. It seems to have really resonated with a lot of folks.
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend it to anyone like who's into any particular genre or other comic series?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of like dark vigilante characters like Batman and stuff like that, like I totally recommend them. Same if you like some of the Mignolaverse, particularly Lobster Johnson. Tanchi Zanjek, who drew this series, also did a good chunk of the Lobster Johnson comics, which are outstanding. Yeah, if you're just a general big fan of Jeff Lemire too, it's a lot of fun. It's a really neat looking kind of noir superhero story. And so it just wrapped up. It's worth picking up the issues. And if you don't get a chance, I'd recommend pre-ordering the trade too.
Yeah. Which will be available pretty soon. Let me double check my notes. Trade paperback out this June. So you can pre-order that now also, actually. These issues also, I mean, the main cover art itself by Tanchi is phenomenal, first of all. I think that's part of what really appeals to folks about this series. Everyone has been responding really well to the art, both, the main interior art and then Tanchi's covers, but then also the variant covers are spectacular.
Yeah, so we had, I think the first issue variant was by Mike Diodato Jr., who also did a series of Jeff called Berserker Unbound. That was a lot of fun, kind of their spin on like a Conan-like character. James Herron did one. Patrick Reynolds did one, who also did the Crimson Flower cover that we showed earlier. Daniel Warren Johnson, Sam Keith, who was really cool to see do one just because I was such a big fan of the Max when I was a kid. And then, yeah, the one that we're showing right now by Cliff Chang, which is just beautiful. So we were very lucky to get him to do a cover for us.
I think we're going to see these covers featured in a lot of top picks lists this week. So
that would be cool.
Yeah. Early congrats to the artists, and also thank you to all of the folks taking note and reviewing and, putting these out in the world, helping us spread the word about these mini series. I know there's a bit of a gap between issues 5 and 6, but I'm glad that we were able to get this one out. A lot of effort has been made throughout the pandemic to make sure that we get single issues out before the trade, because the books, of course, are kind of their set schedules far in advance. And we know you want the whole story before you get the collection. So, but the collection is available for pre-order. It'll be out this June. So you can do that too. If you go to a comic shop, why not get both, We have one more single issue new this week, which I'm gonna have Dan intro for you again.
Yeah, also coming out today is Tales from the Umbrella Academy, You Look Like Death #6. So this is the last issue of this potentially first arc of our Klaus spin-off series. So in this final issue, without spoiling too much, with funding from the Hollywood gods, Klaus directs his new film starring aging starlet Vivian Clark in a long-shot attempt to rein in her evil while finding some peace for his doomed author friend. But the real ace in the hole may be the vampire chimp lord who's put a price on Klaus's head. This issue is the final one of this spinoff, and hopefully maybe there'll be more. Maybe there'll be some with the other kids, or there might even be talks of just doing another arc featuring Klaus. So,
I mean, Klaus is pretty popular.
Would you? And actually, for the trade, we did get Robert Sheehan, who plays Klaus in in the TV show to write the foreword for the book too. So it was really,
You might have heard of him.
yeah, it was really nice of him. And it's actually a really fun foreword to read too. He wrote it at length. It's pretty long, and I think he comes from a little bit of a writing background himself too. And when I originally contacted him, he was editing an anthology, I think, of Irish writers. So he's clearly a well-read guy and has a lot of interesting things to say. So it's pretty cool to get him to contribute to the book just because he portrays the character.
Yeah, I'm really glad that he did. I'm not really surprised. He's an incredibly nice person, and it was nice to see how excited he was about this comic series. And I mean, the folks at Netflix have been as well. So yeah, it's nice to have that support for sure.
Yeah.
How would you say, I mean, the comics, Klaus is somewhat different from the Netflix series Klaus, and a lot of that's due to Robert Sheehan just being such an incredible actor and injecting so much personality, I think, into the character he portrays on the live action series. But like, how would you compare the two between the comics and the series?
It's a good question. I think in the comic, he might be a little more muted. I think they have the same kind of need for self-destruction in both portrayals, but in the TV show, I wouldn't say like how he portrays Klaus is over the top, but it's a lot more like almost flamboyant and just kind of not being a very private character. And I get more of the impression in the comic he's a lot more of a loner.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think it's hard to talk about this without maybe spoiling things, but there are a lot of interesting scenes in this miniseries where it's Klaus's inner monologue or just straight dialogue with him and others in sort of a quiet afterlife kind of space.
Yeah.
I like those.
He had a lot of conversations with the dead in this, and particularly some ghosts at bars. A lot of fun, interesting supernatural scenes. And in the last issue too, without spoiling too much, there's actually, I think it's the first time you see what hell kind of looks like in the Umbrella Academy, and it's a very suburban cul-de-sac-y portrayal of hell, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. So we're looking at the 3 variant covers here. Do you want to tell us a bit about your well, first, the whole series has 2 covers by the same 2 people, and then you have a variant cover artist on each one. So tell us more about this one for starters.
Yeah, so that one right there is by Gabriel Ba. And then we had another one that was by I.N.J. Culberd, who's the interior artist on this. He also drew a series with us not too long ago called Everything, which was awesome, totally worth picking up, by Christopher Cantwell.
Evil shopping center, etc. Like,
it's totally weird. I love it.
It's very surreal.
Yeah. And then the blue cover that we showed earlier with Klaus upside down, that was by Jenny Frizen. So those are all the covers that we had for this arc. And then previous issues, we had covers by folks like James Herron again, and I.N.G. Culbert did most of the regular covers. And David Mack did one, and Weshwat Alvite did one. Motohiro, a lot of big folks. So Leonardo Romero, who's drawing Killjoys and that Skulldigger one shot, did one as well. So
another series with some pretty epic cover art. Killjoys too, honestly, has had some pretty amazing variant covers.
Yeah, I'm thinking of it now. I said Motohiro, but Motohiro actually did one of the Killjoys ones. So that's what I get for having 2 Gerard Way comic series at the same time. Happens with me in Black Hammer too.
Yeah. So. It's a lot. There's a lot at once. Well, and Gerard and Sean Simon collaborate on both this and those Killjoys comics. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship, like how they know each other, how like they continue to work together?
Yeah, so they've known each other for a long time, and I believe Sean used to go on tour with Gerard, and that's where they would come up with some stories together. And in this particular one, they collaborate the whole way through and bounce ideas back and forth, and they'll do it whether or not on the phone or on text or an email. And then they'll just start jamming on a script together. But they have a really nice harmony, and I just think that the way that they write together is very different than when Gerard writes himself, and it's pretty interesting to see how much different the collaboration can be, and it's still a really great and fun comic. So
Obviously, they work well together. I'm enjoying the Killjoys series as well.
yeah, it's really cool.
So the trade paperback collection of this series, You Look Like Death, will be out March 17th. So this is another one we were able to get the full series to you despite pandemic delays in single issues before the trade. Trade will be out March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, interestingly. We can't really talk about things until they're officially announced as ever, of course, but Dan, do you think that people will have more Umbrella Academy comics to look forward to, or some collections that we can mention?
There's stuff that I don't know if it's announced.
Let me see, just to be ultra sure.
Yeah, you're probably thinking what I'm thinking.
We'll have more news for you. I'm sorry, I can't really answer these questions yet, but I do see you in the chat. There will be more, and we will announce it far and wide from the rooftops when we can. How about that? But for now, the trade paperback of You Look Like Death, that is up for pre-order. It'll be out March 17th. An easy date to remember, I think, for St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, celebrate with You Look Like Death and Robert Sheehan. Maybe we should do something with him. Probably that's already in the works, actually, but we should remember that. So that's it for our new releases today. Another question that I did see, and yes, I am certainly going to mention this, is that we are going to be saying happy retirement, goodbye, but not in a sad way, to Randy Stradley, longtime Dark Horse editor. He's been with Dark Horse since the beginning. Rex has come. For those of you who watch our streams regularly, here's Rex. Rex showed up just in time to wish Randy Stradley a happy retirement. 35 years.
Oh,
good job, Randy. We are sharing lots of memories and silly photos of Randy on social media today, so please look at those. And if you have some, please share them on those threads. I need to find the one of Randy in his MST3K outfit. Haven't been able to pull it up yet, so look out for that. We do have Randy as Godzilla and many gold convention photos, among others. So check those out, Twitter, Facebook, etc.
Kara, do you want to see something funny?
Yes, I do.
Speaking of Mystery Science Theater, I have Randy's Crowbot.
Does Randy know you have it?
Oh no. I thought Zell was going to be terrified of it at when I brought it over, but she seems kind of indifferent. So
yeah, where is Zell? Crow, there he is. Is Zell about? Because we should definitely have Zell.
Let's get a Zell quick appearance. I can wait.
We need the Sheba. So Sheba Inus will be making an appearance in the upcoming Beasts of Burden comic series, by the way. If you did not see that announcement, it was announced a little while ago, but new Beasts of Burden series, Occupied Territory, will feature Sheba Inus because we all love Zell and, Shebas in general. Look, you guys are the same colors.
That time.
Look at that. Got a cat and a dog on this stream now, folks. Dark Horse, cats, and dogs.
Oh, look.
They match.
Say hi.
They match. Zell is so tiny, too, that you guys are not really that different in size.
Yeah, she's a mini sheep.
She's dainty.
Rare thing.
Dainty.
But yeah, so she, as you were saying, she has a special cameo in the new Beast of Burden series. So she's going to be famous and signing autographs here.
If you have never read Beasts of Burden, I constantly bang the drum for it. It is one of my all-time favorite comic series. Long before I worked at Dark Horse, I love that series. In fact, I think it was one of my first Dark Horse comics I ever read because I had the horror collections. That's how I got into Hellboy and Beasts of Burden and a lot of other things. So Beasts of Burden, new series, art by Ben Dewey, who's amazing. Written by Evan Dorkin, of course. Colors by Sarah Dyer.
Yeah.
Rex.
So if you like animals and you like horror stories, you tell your retailer you want a copy. Yeah. Endorsed.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hi, Evan, if you're watching or if you watch this later on YouTube. Oh,
look.
Hello from your guest stars. Now we have to work Rex into something. Because there are cats in Beasts of Burden as well. Not as many as dogs, but there are some cats.
Yeah, I think she's mad that I woke her up.
She's got a sleepy wink face now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that is all for our new releases and announcements. The new release single issues, which are included in the giveaway, in fact, are Skulldigger and Skeleton Boy, issue number 6, which concludes that miniseries. Tales from the Umbrella Academy, You Look Like Death, issue number 6, which concludes that miniseries. And Crimson Flower, issue number 2, which is just getting started, getting interesting, because it's Matt Kint, and who knows where it's going to go. I also want to add that I love how he manages to kind of work all of his stories together in some way. Mm-hmm. Little bits and pieces of other tales and characters woven in here and there. So look out for things like that in both Crimson Flower and Fear Case. But yeah, so those 3 single issues are in comic shops today. Unfortunately, the graphic novels, I don't know what's going on with my voice today, will be delayed until March 3rd, as I mentioned at the beginning of this. So stay tuned to our social media and website for updates on all those release dates. But single issues now at comic shops. I'm going to draw a winner in this giveaway right now. Drum roll, please. Congratulations to CChapps4, CCHAPPS4. This will be announced in the chat, and the way for you to claim is to please send us a whisper, a private message here on Twitch. If we don't hear from you soon, we will reach out to you via whisper, but make sure to check your DMs basically, and we'll sort out price shipping. So congrats, single issues. And that is all for today. Again, happy retirement to Randy Stradley, longtime editor at Dark Horse. Lots more news and announcements that we went through at the beginning. Check darkhorse.com for all the details on all of those. And thank you to Dan and Zell for joining us to talk about all your new comics, because like all the new comics today are edited by Dan and Zell.
Well, thank you, Kara. It was fun.
Specifically by Zell, actually.
She does all the work.
She needs more credit. We need to start crediting Zell.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Again, congrats to our giveaway winner. Just send us a DM, and we'll be back next Wednesday, weather permitting. Meanwhile, you can look for the VOD of this on our YouTube. We're Dark Horse Comics everywhere. So thanks again, and we will see you next time.
Cool. Bye.